I've literally just had to watch my own introduction because I completely forgot what I said at the beginning of my videos. Am I okay? Are we well? Right. Hi everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly. I make food and fitness content. And if you're not new here, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My mind went completely blank then. I think I'm trying to retain so much information for this video that I'm just like so concentrated on that, I'm forgetting everything around that. But hello guys, how are we all doing? I hope you have had a wonderful week and that you're having a lovely Sunday. So this week's video, I wanted to sit down and actually talk to you guys about why you're failing your fitness journey. And I'm putting failing in giant quotation marks there because you are not failing. The fact that you're sat watching this video or the fact that you're even taking the steps towards building healthy habits in your life to start a fitness journey shows that you are heading in the right direction. You just might be hitting a few obstacles that are kind of making you feel a bit negative about your fitness journey, making you feel like your goals aren't achievable. And I'm going to outline 5 reasons why your journey might not be working out exactly how you want it to at the moment. And we can talk about some ways that you can jump over that hurdle so you guys can get on your way to achieving your goals. The first reason is that you are setting yourself unachievable and unrealistic goals. It is good to dream big. However, when it comes to a fitness journey, having a goal that's too big and too far out of reach can actually do more damage than good. It's very easy in today's society to see people achieving things on social media and being like, wow, like I really want to do that. But we don't take into account where they are in their life, what stage of their fitness journey they're in, because a lot of the times the people that we aspire to be or aspire to achieve goals like are 3 or 5 years deep into a fitness journey, meaning they have 3 or 5 years training over you if you're currently at the beginning stage of your fitness journey. It can be so disheartening if you're not achieving your goals or performing as well as other people on social media, but we really need to understand that that is not realistic for us because that is not currently where we are on our timeline. You may also be following a plan that is completely wrong for you, and I'm going to use the word sustainable probably 100 times throughout this video, but your plan needs to be sustainable for you. It needs to be able to fit within your life. You shouldn't have to mold your life around a fitness plan because that is not sustainable, because eventually your life is going to overtake. You're not going to be able to stick to the plan you're following. You're not going to feel very good about your fitness journey because you're going to have this thought of like, I've fallen off the bandwagon, I can't stick to my plan. But the problem isn't that you can't stick to the plan, it's that the plan isn't stickable in the first place. So when we're setting out our goals and we're setting out our plan to achieve those goals, we need to remember these have to be realistic. So a good example of this is if you are wanting to get into running. You've never currently run before, but you see somebody running a marathon online, you think, wow, like I want to run a marathon. That is an amazing goal, and that isn't to say that you won't achieve that, but the way you should start it is, okay, I'm going to get outside and I'm going to go on some runs, and set yourself some smaller goals initially. So for example, setting yourself a goal of achieving a 5K or a 10K. Those goals are much more achievable and you will achieve them a lot sooner, meaning you're going to get this sense of achievement sooner, which is so much more motivating. Alongside that, I mentioned that your plan that you're following needs to be stickable in your life. That really doesn't sound right. I don't really know the best way to describe it, but you need to have a plan that's easy to follow for your lifestyle. If you are currently working super long hours in the week and you're feeling super exhausted on the weekend, you need to take that into account. Giving yourself a super heavy plan with 5 runs a week and 2 gym sessions probably isn't going to be achievable and isn't even necessary for you because you're just going to be so burnt out. You're going to get to week 2 of the plan and you're not going to want to stick to it anymore because you're probably going to hate it at that point. So discover something that is way more realistic for you. For example, building in 2 runs and 1 gym session a week. That is more than enough to set you on your way to achieving your goals, but you're not going to experience burnout and you're not going to end up hating your plan because you're dragging yourself to the gym or you're dragging yourself on runs every single day. A personal example of this was in the very beginning of my fitness journey. I downloaded a female bodybuilding plan. Why? Just why? I looked at female bodybuilders and I thought, wow, they look sensational. I want to look like that. Even if I'd have followed this plan to a T for a whole year, probably still wouldn't have looked like one of these women, which would have been so demotivating, but I wasn't taking into account the amount of time and effort and work that they had put in over a number of years. And on the other side of that, following a bodybuilding plan, and at the time I was at university, was not realistic, and there is no way that was going to stick because it wasn't sustainable in my life. I was in university at the time. I was going out 3 or 4 times a week. So following a 7-day-a-week training plan and a meal plan that meant that I had to eat 6 times a day was not realistic. And there was no chance I was going to be getting up and making 6 meals a day around my social occasions. That then made me have a really negative relationship with fitness and with diets because I just felt like my goals were unachievable, but it wasn't that. It was that I was following an unachievable plan for me that didn't fit within my lifestyle. Whereas if I'd have maybe found ways to input healthy habits into my lifestyle, that would have been way more achievable and it would have fit within my lifestyle. The second reason why you might feel like you're failing your fitness journey is because you are relying on one singular measure of progress. And let me take a stab in the dark, I'm guessing it's going to be the scales. This is a very personal one for me as well because the beginning of my fitness journey was so consumed by the number that those scales were telling me, to the point where my mood in the day would actually be affected by that. If I stepped on those scales and it told me I'd gone up by even 0.1 kg, my mood was bad for the rest of the day because I associated that number increasing with me failing my fitness journey. Let's just talk about the fact, number one, that scales can increase based off a number of things, including for females, your period. If you're currently on your period, the likelihood is you are maintaining more water weight, therefore you will appear heavier on the scales. It can literally be affected by what you've even eaten the day before. If you've eaten higher in salt foods, your body is again going to be retaining more water and therefore you're going to appear heavier on the scales. It's a really hard headspace to get out of, so I don't want to say this lightly because I understand that, especially for females, our relationship with scale weight is quite toxic. But if you are using that as your sole measure of progress, that is likely why you feel like you're failing. I'm going to sit and I'm going to list some different measures of progress that you can focus on, and hopefully you can start to implement these as ways that you see yourself progressing rather than just relying on one singular sole number on a silly little machine. There are so many other more important measures of progress that scale weight really doesn't even need to be a factor. Number one, strength. Has your strength improved in the gym? Do you feel stronger day to day? That singular one there is probably one of my favorite and my most important. If I'm in the gym and I'm increasing my weight, I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling powerful, that for me shows that I'm progressing. Number two, gym anxiety. And this is a really big one in the beginning of our fitness journeys that I think a lot of people forget about. When you start a fitness journey, going into the gym is so daunting. The next time you're in the gym, I really want you to think about how you feel. Do you feel way more natural in that environment? Do you feel like you belong? Do you feel confident picking up weights in the weight section? Because compare that to the first day you stepped in the gym, and if you've seen a dramatic increase in your confidence, that is a huge measure of progress and a huge achievement. Number three, has your cardiovascular fitness improved? When you go out on your runs, are you feeling fitter? Are you able to run for longer? Are you able to run faster? Trust me, there are so many measures of progress with running that I genuinely feel like that is why I have such a healthy relationship with my body now, because I never look at my body as giving me a sense of achievement. I base my sense of achievement off of my runs and my cardiovascular fitness. Number four, are you implementing and sticking to your healthy habits? So for example, if you've just started tracking, have you had a whole week where you've been able to track and hit your macros perfectly? Because that is a tough thing to do. Sticking to a diet or sticking to a meal plan or sticking to your macros isn't something that we naturally are able to do. It takes training and it is very, very hard. It took me a really long time to get into the swing of tracking and hitting my protein target, but now I do. Sometimes I kind of forget that that is actually a big measure of progress because I've taught myself to do something that is enabling me to live a healthier lifestyle and achieve my fitness goals. So that again is another measure of progress. If you do have aesthetic goals and you still want to measure your progress, another way to measure that is by photos. For me at the moment, I'm taking progress pictures every single week to try and see muscle growth. And those photos to me and being able to visibly see muscle growth tell me so much more than the scale can ever tell me. And the final one I'm going to talk about is the way you feel within yourself. If you feel physically strong, if you feel happy within yourself, that is the most important thing. That measure of progress is exactly what you need to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on how you actually feel within yourself, not what a number on the scales is telling you. So if you are struggling with scale weight and you find that you've developed too much of an emotional attachment to it like I had, the best piece of advice I can give you is to retire your scales. It is not worth stepping on those scales even once a week if you are getting upset by the number that you're seeing, because your fitness journey is so much bigger than that little number on those stupid scales. You do not need them if it is making you feel a certain type of way. The third reason why you might feel like you are failing your fitness journey is that you are letting small bumps in the road derail your whole week. And I refer to it as the start on Monday mindset. And what I'm referring to here is if you get 3 days into the week, you've been tracking really well, you've been hitting all of your workouts, but on say a Thursday, you go out after work, you go out for a meal, it isn't necessarily on track, you maybe have a few drinks, And because you feel like you've fallen off the bandwagon at that point, you throw in the towel and you spend Friday, Saturday and Sunday completely off plan, completely off your workouts, because you just say to yourself, I'll just start on Monday, I'll start again. When in reality, that Thursday night was absolutely fine. You are allowed to go out and have a pizza and have a drink. That is okay. However, allowing that event to really derail your mindset and make you kind of throw in the towel on the rest of the week is what you need to work around. You just need to wake up on Friday and be like, okay, you know what? I had a pizza, I had a few drinks last night, but I'm actually gonna get back to it this morning. I'm gonna stick on my meal plan. I'm gonna go to the gym this evening and I'm gonna follow my plan exactly like I was on the previous days. It's just not letting a tiny little hiccup derail everything and wanting to start again on the Monday, because there is nothing special about Monday. You can start on a Friday, you can start on a Tuesday. It really doesn't have to be a Monday. It doesn't have to be a new week or a new month or a new year. You can literally start on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. if you want to. You just need to allow yourself kindness in those moments and not feel like, oh, well, I've ruined it anyway, because you haven't. You really haven't. Number 4 is something that I struggled with for a really long time when I started my fitness journey. And I don't ever want you to feel like you have to track your food or you have to track your protein, because I completely understand that that doesn't work for everybody. So if this doesn't work for you, if the shoe doesn't fit, skip this tip. You don't need it. However, a lot of the time when people start their fitness journeys, we can feel like we're eating in a calorie deficit. However, we aren't actually, because we're not tracking our foods, we're guesstimating it in our minds. I did this for a few years. I felt like I was eating super healthy, I was eating super high protein, but I wasn't tracking anything I was eating. And the truth is, at that point, I didn't have that much education on food, so I didn't really understand the calorie value of some of the things I was eating. So while I thought I was eating in a calorie deficit, I was actually eating either at maintenance or in a calorie surplus, because the foods I was eating were higher calories. I just wasn't aware of the contents of them. That is why I do feel like tracking is beneficial, because ultimately, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. If you're trying to maintain your weight, you need to be at maintenance calories. And if you're trying to gain weight, you need to be in a calorie surplus. And for me, the best way to figure that out and to be sure that I was on track was to actually use my Fitness Pal and track those calories. And when I did start, I did realize that a lot of the things I was eating were actually much higher in calories than I initially thought. And again, I want to stress, tracking calories isn't for everyone. So please do not feel the need to do this. This was just something that I really realized in the beginning of my fitness journey made me feel like I was failing, because I wasn't seeing any progress, because I felt like I was eating in a calorie deficit and I felt like I was eating high protein. But when I actually sat and wrote it all down, I was more or less eating in a calorie surplus and I wasn't hitting my protein goal. So the 5th and final reason why you might not be achieving your fitness goals is because you are being too restrictive. I talk about this all the time and I cannot stress it enough. You do not need to restrict any food groups in order to achieve your fitness goals. And for years, I tried every diet under the sun and most of them were super restrictive. I even followed like an army diet at one point, which was like an old American style of how they would eat in the army, because I felt like that would help me achieve my fitness goals. I even followed a grapefruit diet where I ate grapefruits like 3 times a day. I don't even like grapefruits. And on top of that, I tried to follow vegan diets and vegetarian diets, because I felt like if I cut food groups out, I was eating less food or intaking less food groups, and therefore I would probably lose more weight. But you do not need to be doing any of that. And the result of me doing that actually ended up with me binge eating on the weekends, because I've restricted so much in the week. So I'd then hit the weekend and I'd be like, God, I'm absolutely ravenous. And I would jump off the bandwagon that I was currently on, which I did not need to be on anyway. And I would go and I would binge eat food because I'd been so overly restricted. And one of the best ways I learn about this is that ultimately you need to be, like I mentioned earlier, and trust me, when I stopped restricting food groups, when I stopped cutting chocolate out of my diet and meat out of my diet, I was able to follow it and enjoy it, because this needs to be enjoyable and it needs to be sustainable. And if you enjoy chocolate, you need to incorporate that into your lifestyle. There is always ways to fit in your treats and fit in your favorite foods, no matter what your fitness goal is. So please, please, please do not restrict anything out of your diet, because it is not necessary and it's only going to make your fitness journey harder in the long run. I kind of want to add in a bonus thing here, and that is, please be kind to yourself. Celebrate every achievement, no matter how small you may think it is. If you are putting healthy habits into your lifestyle and you're trying to live a healthier and happier life, please celebrate every little step of the way. Because when I look back at the beginning of my fitness journey, I was so hard on myself all the time. I was never lifting heavy enough. I was never growing enough muscle. I was never losing enough weight. I wish I could go back and be like, you are literally doing your best and I'm so proud of you. I just really want you to remember to say that to yourself. Like I said, starting a fitness journey, showing up for yourself every single day, going to the gym, going on runs isn't easy. busy, especially if you're working a lot of hours, it's super, super tough. And I literally take my hat off to any of you who work a 9 to 5 and still finish work and go for a 2-hour run in the evening, or still finish work and get yourself to the gym when it's busy, because those things aren't easy to do. And if they were easy, absolutely everybody would do them. You are doing, like I've just said, what a lot of people aren't, and you are showing up for yourself. So please remember that. Please be super proud and give yourself a little hug or a little pat on the back for me, because I am also super proud of you. And those are my 5 tips with a little bonus one on the end. And I hope that helps you guys if you feel like you are struggling, or if you're throwing that word failure around too much, because like I said at the beginning of the video, you're not failing. I'm really proud of you. You have got this. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a plan change or a little bit of a perspective change. Trust me, you will get there. Please keep going. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.